Welcome, Auvorians. Today, 25th of August, 2020. My name is Steve Vetterl. I am the firm's CMA, here to hopefully protect your accounts. Let me do a favor, if I could, please. Looks like the Q&A window is open. Feel free to ask questions. Let me also get, if you would please, in the chat window, a quick confirmation that you can see the risk disclosure screen and hear me okay. All good from the front. So for those of you joining us, welcome again. My name is Steve Vetterl. Worked with a lot of the software developers in the last couple of days, trying to get an understanding of when we're going to be releasing the software. You guys may have heard this on the call. Got 4 pieces of software coming out. Looks like a lot of people have had the opportunity to listen to the intro calls, listen to the 4 different developers, including Tyler, who's babying up Gearbox for release. Turns out a lot of the APIs, which is just nothing more than fancy code for hooking up the software to back office systems and subscription-based, is taking a little longer. So let your heart not be troubled on that front. We're getting ready to release. It should be some great stuff. So let me just go ahead real quick. Risk disclosure. Trading the foreign exchange markets carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin and utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade a foreign exchange market using any of our software, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. More importantly, can you afford to lose the money? And hopefully that's not the case. If you are sharing any of the results from using Alexander, Iris, Einstein, so forth in the Facebook groups only, please do not use the term company recommended settings, okay? These settings will be coming from the developers and or myself. So Auvoria Prime does not have any recommended settings. We're not a financial advisory firm. They license software that users can use however they want and at their own risk and choice. Some software does come with default settings upon initial setup, which you have the ability to customize. That will certainly be the case with Alexander and Einstein and Iris. You do not necessarily have that type of flexibility with some of the other software that's coming out. So less, but all the more important, still important to know what's going on. I really am never going to use the word plug and play, which you see a lot out there, but you can never really have that type of attitude with the softwares, and I hope you guys aren't communicating that to your upline or downline teams. So, because really Auvoria has nothing to do with the customer's brokerage account. We don't take or trade money for anybody anywhere in the globe. We don't recommend any brokers. We're just licensing software and putting together an amazing education platform, including onboarding that everybody will benefit from if they take part. So let's switch over to Forex calendar. If you did not see my Saturday chat, you will see that not much going on, with the exception of later this week, Thursday, Friday, the big annual Jackson Hole Symposium, as it's often called. It's a 2-day event, takes hold in Jackson Hole. It is sponsored by the Kansas City Federal Reserve, one of the 12 regionals in this country. And normally everybody flies in from all over the world, central bankers, all that fun, just big old party, and talking about monetary policy and economics. So it's going to be taking place online this week. So for those of you that are experts out there that are running the software all week, I would not be running a Thursday and Friday. That is it for the news. Let's take a look at some charts. By the way, the Q&A window is open. I have a very limited amount of time today because unfortunately I have a client that is having some health issues. We need to take care of a few things related to his estate today, so I got to roll. But let's talk just quickly about S&P. For those of you that did not see the news, we broke into all-time highs, and those on Bloomberg and Fox Business and CNBC, they're doing their dances. What they're not telling you is the volume is down. They're not telling you that typically, even though we're getting closer, I guess apparently, to some treatments to fend off COVID, The market's just continuing to rally, which is quite normal in an election year for the reserve banks, as we've seen a lot in the past, to pump up the markets into the election. Whether or not it can stand on its own 2 feet here is a different story. So that's that for the S&P 500. Let's take a look at the dollar. So this is the DXY dollar currency index. We're on tradingview.com. I highly recommend it, at least from just a generic technical analysis. It's always good stuff. So we're still stuck in the area after a big move down into the 94 to 92 and a half area. I've been talking about this. Sounds like a broken record for the last couple of weeks, but here we are. I expected us to sit for a good chunk, if not all of the month of August, in this tight range to potentially break out and head lower to our ultimate target down here in the 85 area that is viewable looking at anything longer than a daily chart. So this is an area that is of a very big importance, especially looking at the monthly chart, where you can see how important the 85 area is right in here as far as support. So ultimately, that's where I think we're going. What does that mean for the other currencies? It means that anything related to the US dollar is more than likely going to be going up. So, surprising thing here, let's take a look at the daily first on GBP USD. Again, right above, hovering, arguably resistance is a little bit higher. Up in the 32 area, but essentially we're hovering right in that area, just like the dollar is. You're going to see the same thing. I don't really have any great prognostications on this one. Take a look again. Dollar stuck in the area, 19-ish level, 17. This whole probably spend this week chasing in, basing in all kinds of stuff that can be not happening, I guess, this week. So a lot of times I'll get the question, well, what does all this mean? It means that hopefully you're gaining a better understanding of the technical analysis I'm presenting. Hopefully it also means that there is less risk. Now watch, I say this and then things will go bananas again, right? But there is less risk to trading when markets are in a tight period of time. Where the risk increases as we put more duration of time, or 20 days into this, if I'm not mistaken, ish. So the more time we spend in here, the more there is a chance for us to have put in the time that is necessary, whatever number that may be ultimately, in order for us to break out one way or another. This is typically what happens. So you have a big move, catches a lot of market participants off guard, whether it be institutional or retail. And then you have a backing and filling period of time that goes on. So let's take a look at the USD JPY. So obviously just a daily chart, general downtrend, albeit a rather volatile move one of when the pandemic first broke, obviously, with huge monetary supply and M1 changes bringing this market down. We've sort of cooled out on the daily here, settled out. I would expect us to be stuck in this range again. I'm possibly taking a ultimate visit, if you will, to the 1.8-ish area. That's what I would expect. And then really we'll see what the U.S. dollar is going to do. If the dollar fails and goes down to the 85 area that I'm expecting, I would see this, just essentially selling off back down towards the 104 area. Looks like a pretty big support right here because you had a huge lift off this, but that corresponds essentially to that 92-ish area where sort of the edge of the cliff, if you will. Let's take a look at the Euro JPY, our favorite currency. So again, stuck in the same type of basing pattern, running anywhere from 24, 21-ish area up to about the 26.71. Nothing really great here. The cool thing about, though, taking just sort of trades, if one's, I get to ask this question a lot, if I'm going to be a manual trader, where would I take these trades that would be most conservative? One of the most conservative trades was just a couple of days ago, last week, when we came down for the first time and touched that 2440 area, okay, which was part of the breakout, as you can see here, which also became support on the bottom of both these candles. So I call that trading the extremes. Now, granted, it was in an extreme from a short period of time, but it was the outside of the channel that we're currently in. So essentially drawing trend being sideways here as we're in a consolidation phase. So technical analysis can be that simple. Just getting in the habit of drawing some lines, understanding where we came back down in support, right? This is going to help you. Like one of the first things I always say for those that ask me for more experience in the technical analysis area, you want to trade the bottom of the trend line, right? Or see, you can see that maybe this was, if we were to draw the whole trend channel, that arguably this was a touch at the bottom outside of this uptrend channel that we had here, which I'll sloppily draw this right now. We touched it. This was an opportunity to get long. Now, granted, this was outside of the, I guess we could say this is probably not the best drawing. Let's try that again. So we touched the bottom. Not as concerning from a trend channel standpoint as the ace reversal almost perfectly off of a support level. That's a trade that, even though it is against, looks to be outside of a trend channel, trend channels will always be superseded by big levels of support and resistance from just a price standpoint. So I would have taken that long, had I been offered that type of trade and or a manual trader actually coming back against that. So I thought this was a good little teaching example of how that plays out. All right, so what else we want to talk about here? So one of the questions is DXY. You can see the chart right down here, 92 at the bottom. What else do I want to touch on? Let's take a look at GBP NZD. Again, daily chart. I always start with the dailies. Want to see what's going on first. Looking probably, depending upon what goes on with the dollar, which is obviously going to be pushing the pound around, and then all the other currencies attached to it as a correlated movement. But essentially coming up, it looks like the support line right now that's holding, essentially the 199 area, 99.50. As you can see, it's right holding on the 200-day. Cool. All right, well, that's pretty much all I have. Unless anybody's got any questions, I'm going to end the not much going on. I would encourage everybody to make sure that if they have some time, I know it's depending on the part of the world you're in, you're getting your kids back to school, unfortunately online like we are, which totally stinks. These kids want to be back in the classroom. It's been a strain on a lot of the parents out there trying to get their kids to proper education online. I feel your pain. So unless anybody's got any questions, I'm going to end it there. Tell everybody to have a great week. I'm trying hard for a special guest on Saturday. One of the developers of one of the big pieces of software that's being released. So stay tuned, spread the word, and we will see you guys on Saturday. Be well.